Time.
All right, now I have 7 o'clock. We'll call the town board meeting for July 6, 2020 to order. First item on the agenda is the approval. Patrick, please tell me we don't have any more stuff to put on.
No additions or deletions, Mr. Chair.
All right, motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is approval of payment of bills. Steve, you sign off on them?
I signed off on those. I move to approve payment of the bills.
Second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of June 15th, 2020 meeting. I understand, Steve, you had some.
Had nothing to do with the minutes. It was just minor other parts of the agenda, and I move to approve the minutes of June 15th, 2020.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. We have 8 items on the consent agenda. If no one feels the need to pull any off, I believe we may have one amendment. Scott, you want to handle that?
So I understand we're moving item 5G to the end of the docket and pulling it off of the consent agenda. So I will move to approve the amended consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, moving on. Item number 6, we have an open time slotted for an update on 5305 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. What I'd like to do here is have our building inspector, Mike Johnson, give us an update. We also have a Ramsey County Sheriff here that will maybe shed some insight on this. And then we will have our attorney kind of recap what these gentlemen review, and then I'll open it up to the public. I'm going to ask that if you want to speak or make any comments, you need to come up to the podium, state your name, your address. We are being cast across the township, so you might want to keep that into consideration when you're up here talking. But please address all your comments to us, and then hopefully with Mike and the sheriff, a lot of your questions may get answered. So with that, Mike, want to give us an update on this?
Mike Johnson, Town Building Inspector. On your agenda this evening, 5305 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. The town has received complaints beginning approximately about a year ago. Town staff initially had open line of communication with the property owner. Significant effort was made to try to resolve some of the issues out there. One of the first written notices that went out to the property owner from the town was in October, requesting removal of some vehicles on the property. Eventually, those vehicles did get removed, only to be replaced by other vehicles. Second notice the town sent was on November 1st concerning unpermitted construction on the site. There was a little bit of confusion. There was an open permit for the homeowner to do some roofing work on the property. The work that is underway right now is outside of the scope of that permit that was issued for the roofing. Again, with negotiations with the property owner, he agreed to obtain the proper building permits, but never has. Then as of late, notices for property violations that have been issued over the last 6 months. Kind of the final written notice was sent to the property on March 2nd, 2020 here, informing the property owner of ordinance violations. Ordinance number 16, section 4-2.11, prohibits the accumulation of trash and debris. Ordinance 47, section 9-1, exterior building finishes shall be kept sound and in good repair. Ordinance 35, section 7-6.2, all vehicles stored on the property must be currently licensed and operable. Finally, ordinance 8, section 1-54, adopts the Minnesota State Building Code, which requires a building permit for any alterations or modifications to the structure. Things continue to deteriorate on the property. No action was taken by the property owner to resolve the ordinance violations I just stated, and citations were issued for the violations. And as of today, I contacted the courts, and they do not have the case on their docket as of yet.
Obviously, with the COVID issue, Chad, you could probably, all the courts have pretty much slowed down on all responses.
They are trying to reorganize themselves as we speak, and it's going to take a while.
All right, board have any questions, Mike?
No, I mean, I think we've been versed on this a number of times, that it's an ongoing opportunity. I'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks, Mike. Our sheriff's department, Mike, you got anything?
Morning, evening, sorry. Mike Stravatka with the Sheriff's Department. I'm the crime prevention deputy, and problem properties are in my purview. So I work with the cities and Mike, and what we can do on the sheriff's office side, the criminal side. And so we're well aware of this property. We know there's ongoing criminal activity. There's also ordinance violations. So we put some resources towards it, me being one, spending some time monitoring the address, and the deputies that work White Bear Township are all well aware of it. Our deputies been in contact with the residents on a regular basis through phone calls and emails of ongoing things that are going on. I know everybody's aware there was a case where multiple stolen vehicles were pulled off the property. That case is still under investigation. But from my understanding from it, I don't believe there'll be any criminal charges that come out of it at this point. Just because a stolen piece of property is on someone's property doesn't mean that we can prove that they knew it was stolen, kind of thing. For the county attorney to charge those kind of things is kind of tough to show that the homeowner, whoever was on the property at the time, knew those items were stolen. So I don't presume that any charges will come out of that case. We've been there multiple times. Pat, I didn't bring the report. Do you have it with you by chance? I prepared a report for Pat. How many calls do we have?
Yeah,
38,
it was
you.
almost 40.
40. Is that the one, Tracy, you had? That you gave everybody? Okay, that's not as of...
I called the other night.
You called the other night? So the report I provided, and I can probably get it to you. I don't think there's any data privacy with it. It's just calls. We did a little bit more number crunching, looking into the calls, not just for that address, but that area, and we can attribute some extra calls to it. So I think we're well over 40, unfortunately, in the last 2 years. So we're aware of it. We're putting the resources we can towards it. As I think I've explained to more than one homeowner here before, the process of trying to deal with a problem property sometimes is very labor intensive. Mike will, I'm sure, say the same thing. It's a lot of work to try and just get some of the simple ordinance stuff and have a judge look at it and rule, and it's very time consuming, and then a judge usually wants a lot of violations, a lot of documentation before he'll issue an abatement order or a criminal charge to clean up the property, those kind of things. So I know people want some resolution quickly. I'm going to tell you that sometimes it takes time, and on both sides, the township side and the sheriff's office, the criminal side, trying to mitigate some of those issues that we're seeing.
I know we've had experiences before on abatement properties and stuff, and what happens is the judge just throws it back at us and just tells us, try to work with the homeowner, try to work with them. And then we go back through, and then it's back to court again. So it does take some bouncing around, too. Any questions of our fine sheriff's department? I know Public Safety Commission and the board's been looking at trying to get some sort of meteor ordinance, something that we can, even if it's a matter of just, we keep fining people for calls for service, anything to hit these problem nuisance properties in the pocketbook to maybe, I don't know, maybe get them a little bit more alert, because right now it just seems like it's easy for them to just thumb their nose at us. So we have been working on this, but it's, again, it's our attorney, it's not something that's easy to do. But I appreciate you coming and giving us an update. You got anything else, Mike, that you want to add?
I know there's a lot of residents here. I want you to know, continue to do what you're doing. Eventually, you know, the big one will come, if you want to call it that, the big crack in the case, or we'll just get lucky or something. So continue to be vigilant, continue to be observant. Again, I do crime prevention. Most of the board knows we do National Night Out, and we always speak about see something, say something, know your neighbors, and take care of your neighborhood. You're doing exactly that. You've dug your heels in, which we want to see. Don't get frustrated with us. We're going to come through for you eventually. But like Ed says, that abatement process is very time consuming. Mr. Lemons will tell you, being to court on many of them over the years, that the judges just do not like to deal with them. They like to see resolution from between the cities and the residents. So just keep at it, and we'll get a resolution eventually.
All right, Mike, will you be able to hang around just for a couple minutes?
Yep.
I know we've got a lot of residents here, but we also got another whole group of neighbors waiting outside. So what I'd like to do, Chad, do you want to just give an overview of what really is
Sure.
our township responsibility and legal course?
Well,
Thanks, Mike.
Mike gave a pretty good broad view of what the town can do. The town has the authority to abate a nuisance, which is what Mike has been doing with his reports, and which Mike, the sheriff, has been doing as well. But here's the key you have to keep in mind. We send out a notice of abatement. We have to give them a period of time to cure the default, normally 30 days. If they cure the default within that 30-day period, it's done. That's all. At that point, we're back to square one till the next nuisance shows up, and then there's another abatement that goes out. Under the statute, there is no way, as long as someone keeps curing the abatements, you can't do anything about it, other than keep bringing up new abatement orders. But if they keep satisfying those abatement orders, you cannot force them off their own property. Now, let's assume they don't cure the abatement, in which case that's a misdemeanor under our ordinances, in which case they're cited and they go to court. Mike gave a pretty accurate description of what happens. Remember, this is considered to be a victimless crime as far as the judges are concerned. You know, there's no assault here, there's no robbery. This is just, they don't see a victim here. And the result is, they actually, this, you're not going to like this, but they view the owner as somewhat of a victim sometimes, depending on how well the owner acts in court. So their first step for judges would be to simply continue the matter and tell both sides, go work it out, which basically means, town, you tell them what to do, you sit on them, make sure they get it done, give them time to get it done. And I'm not talking 30 days, I'm talking 90 days. The town, what's it, Town Line Road, right, Mike?
Township.
Township Road. That must have been on the misdemeanor docket for close to 2 or 3 years. Now, keep in mind, I'm only the civil attorney, I'm not the criminal attorney. So I'm not the one that has to deal with that. But the criminal attorney for the township kept pushing that, and the judge kept continuing it. And that's what's going to happen. Unless it's considered to be so egregious that it's such a threat to health, then that might be different. But for the most part, the judges are simply going to continue it on. And that is the problem. Now, can the town, we have to probably change some language in the ordinances. I'm working on that. We already got the rental ordinances done. I submitted that. So I assume that'll go to public safety to look at.
Yep.
Now, in terms of the owners themselves, we could have a procedure for summary abatement, which means if they don't do it, the town goes in, does it, charges them, and then in October of each year, that would then be assessed to the property. Okay, let's assume that happens. First of all, that's not going to get your owner out, it's not going to get the property owner out of the property. They're still going to be there. The abatement will be gone, the nuisance will be gone, but the owner is still going to be there. And that's probably your biggest, I would suspect that's what your biggest concern is. Okay, so it gets assessed to taxes. If they pay their taxes, then they keep the property. If they don't pay their taxes, it takes, under statute, 5 years for a homestead to forfeit to the state of Minnesota for non-payment of real estate taxes. So basically, you're looking at something that could continue for at least a 5-year period, actually 6 years, because it doesn't go delinquent. Taxes don't go delinquent until March 1st of the succeeding year after the taxes are due. And that starts the clock running. And that assumes the county stays on top of this. And the county's actually pretty good about it, but they give people they cut people slack on taxes. So it doesn't necessarily forfeit right away. I've seen some properties stay on the forfeit list for a long time. When I say a long time, 10 years or more. So this is a long-term situation. There is no quick solution other than to continue to cite the property owner and keep it as clean as possible. But that is basically all the town can do.
And I think that's part of the board's avenue is, all we can do is make it financially very difficult for the homeowner. You keep finding them for all these citations. We'll set up some sort of fine for every time we have to send Ramsey County Sheriff's out. All we can do is just keep pounding money at them, and if hope that works, at least on our end. So we've been looking at this, because we do have, this isn't the only property in the township, I'm afraid to say, but it's been very frustrating for us, too. And I understand everybody here has dealt with these kind of neighbors, so. But I know a bunch of you want to comment on this. Like I said, this is all going to be on public record, so if you want to come up to the podium, I need your name, your address. Try to keep it 2 to 3 minutes. We've got a big agenda and a lot of, like I said, I've got a whole group of neighbors sitting outside waiting to come for the next one, so. And remember, this is a broadcast, so the whole town's watching you.
Good afternoon. I'm Tracy Jansen. I live at 5297 West Bald Eagle, which is the home right next to the property that we're discussing. And I just want to say thank you to all of you first and foremost, because I know that I am sometimes lacking the patience because we're so close to that property. So thank you. I get that you get it and that you empathize, and Mike Johnson has been especially kind in that way, so thank you. But I just want to share, when we hear that this is seen as a victimless crime, in my opinion, my kids are the biggest victims.
May I interrupt for 1 second? When I say a victimless crime, we don't look at it as being a victimless crime.
But
it's
yeah,
the courts
the judge
that do.
does, right. But we're dealing with, watching somebody who's lost their privilege to drive because of, being under the influence. And I watch him drive all the time as my babies are crossing the street to get to our lake shore. Drug use, the same thing. I mean, it's terrifying for us to have our children so close in proximity to that. I wouldn't like it even without them. But as far as my husband Mike and I are concerned, we really want to live in a community where it is that the laws are enforced. I mean, that's very important to us. We agree with them. We want to abide by them. We want to live by others that do. We've had the truck from this person rammed into our woods feet from where our children regularly swing and didn't care at all. We've had our fence hit several times, doesn't care. We're getting nowhere. We get all of these things that we can do to react, but to try to stop it, it seems like an impossible task, and that's why I just want to keep on making you aware that we live right next door to this, and this is every day. I regularly have to move my children if we have the windows open because they're doing auto work. The traffic, I think, is contributing to our fence being hit regularly that we put up to try to avoid their having to be in direct vision of what appears to be criminal activity, foul language, things that make them very insecure, feeling unsafe. We just moved here, and they feel afraid. They can't sleep with their windows open. The auto work, the foul language, it's not fair to them. High traffic, I think, is contributing to the fence being hit and broken with regularly that we put up just a month ago. Idling of trucks, noise, auto work, all hours of the day, all hours of the night. The rental property, we've given their renters access to our home because the sewer doesn't work. The last renters before the current ones had the same issue. It seems like that should be a time where the ability to continue renting might be reconsidered. Permits, the same thing. We're listening to construction work all hours of the day, all hours of the night. All of the people that are being brought in to help with that aren't necessarily what I would consider contractors. I don't know that for sure, but they don't appear to be reputable persons. The inoperable vehicles, the garbage. There was an old freezer out there. I fear whether my child or the other person who lives on the other side, what if they had crawled in there? The pool that doesn't have a fence. What if, again, my kid or came running across there? Isn't the reason why we have these things, to make sure someone's safety is secured? So that's our perspective as someone who lives right next door. My kids' windows literally sit on top of where that garage is, and they have no peace, none. So again, thank you. And what I'd like us to all be able to better understand from all of you too is, what can we do to help? I keep on hearing about it's just such a difficult case, and I 100% support a fact-based situation. And if there's anything that we can all do in order to make it that way, we want to do it in the right, democratic, fair, respectful way. So if there's something that we can all be doing, please tell us.
Well, I think the deputy sheriff summed it up pretty well. It's just keep talking to the deputy, to Mike, the deputy sheriff, and Mike Johnson here, the building inspector. Let them know what's going on. All we can, until we continue to cite them. Eventually, it may wear them down, but I wouldn't hold out much hope.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Greg Klein. I live at 5315 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. I'm the opposite side of Tracy and them on the next side at a house. As Tracy says, I mean, I worry because my daughter is 2 years old and she likes to run up and down their driveway, and they come peeling out constantly from that road. And they, as Tracy also said, they're always having people come in. They might be there only 20 minutes in and out, and they're different people all day long, every day. Speaking of the trash, they literally are putting their house trash in the backyard underneath tarps. I mean, I sent pictures, and I know that those are violations, but I mean, and then they have indoor furniture outside. That's got to be attracting mice, rats, other critters that shouldn't be in our neighborhood. And I'm just feeling that it's a health violation against our families. Like, what happens if my daughter got over there and cut herself on one of their tools? I mean, they have crap everywhere in their backyard. They have tires. They have an old stove. Sorry, I can get a little emotional, but they have stuff that make me not feel safe with my daughter outside. Like, they drive through I've seen them come peeling through one driveway and flying out the other one. That is mostly my driveway, and they come flying out through it. It just scares me having a small child that can run, that might get hit, and that's.
Is that a shared driveway?
It is. That's 3/4 on my lot and 1/4 on theirs.
Patrick, are you familiar with, is that on the on their property description that they share that driveway? Or was that just something the previous owner did?
I'm not sure.
That may be an avenue that we may be able to shut that driveway down.
Okay.
If it's not legally shared,
Unfortunately, that's a private issue. It's a private property issue, not a public public issue.
well, I shouldn't say we, but that may be an avenue for you folks if, I know of a couple of shared driveways that have ended up in dispute, and they've had to figure it out between the two, and then they came in and actually did a survey, and they drew a line and said, that's it, you can't share the driveway, especially if they have another driveway entrance.
Yeah.
So that may be one avenue, something that another,
And I know it's supposed to be a single-family home, but there's like 12 people that actually live in that one house, not including the rental house in the back, where it's just two young guys right now. But in that house, and I've seen somebody screaming and fighting, and 3 girls just moved out that were living in that house. I mean, it just, and I appreciate you guys doing everything that you can. It just scares me as a father with my little girl. So, thank you very much.
Well,
Thanks, Greg.
Mr. Chair, if I may make a comment. The new ordinance that the public safety is looking at for rental property, that will provide some teeth to deal with the renters on the property. Up till now, we don't really have the ability, the township doesn't have the ability to do much about rental property, short of, not renewing the license. But with the new ordinance, if it's adopted, that'd give us some, something to work with.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tony Samper. I live at 5287 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. I'm about 3 houses down from that house. And we moved in about 3 years ago, and we noticed a couple ambulances there. And then last year we noticed some more things happening. And then this year, just tons of stuff. And one of the things I got to point out that's really dangerous is that this drug house attracts a certain character. And when you got deputies, 8 or 9 of them running around with their guns pulled out, you got to, what kind of character's in that house? So when you talk to to the judge about, and I know how tough it is, Chad, I know that sometimes they can throw stuff out on a whim, but tell them about the escalation, because I found out how many calls were made to that house, just calls made to that house since the middle of 2018 through the middle of 2020. And there were 4 calls made in 2018. There were 12 calls made in 2019. There were 22 calls made to that house to date through about June 29th. It's tripling. The escalation factor is going through the roof. And I think the biggest concern we have as neighbors is, kids, I mean, they got their kids. I had my grandkids for 2 weeks. Friday morning, some guy went out of there at about 65 miles an hour and went around the corner on Summit without ever stopping. And, I'm just thinking, holy buckets, it's escalating. And that's the key.
Well,
It's
Tony,
obvious,
this is
statistically.
It's something that's good for us and the courts, that all this stuff is documented.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to want to listen to hearsay and innuendos and he said, she said.
I hear
But when
you.
you have literally sheriff's reports, and that's the kind of stuff that goes a long way.
It doesn't, and I would also like to say thank you, Mike, and thank you to the officer, deputy, and all of you for what you've done so far, because really, you're carrying the burden, and I really get it. You hear us, and you want to take care of this. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was, I wanted to ask a little bit about the cost. So, there's 38 some calls there. What's your quota? 1 or 2 calls a year to your house? Some neighbors of mine were telling me that you get 1 freebie if they come out and your alarm goes off. The second alarm, you got to pay for. Well, who's paying for the ambulances and the 9 officers and the deputies and all these calls? And I know it's a long haul, but anything you can do that can, the way I look at it is, number 1, either step up and take care of what you're doing and pay your dues and face your consequences and take care of yourself and get better, or you know, these things will build to a point where, you know, you don't have an alternative. And we've talked about this, it could be 2-3 years. We really get that at this point, but I just want to make sure that I ask that question and maybe you can answer it. How much does a call cost? And are other taxpayers paying for these 38 calls to their house? If they are, we really shouldn't. It's unequitable. So anyways, and I know you're trying to do some stuff there, so I just wanted to point those things out, and thank you for all you've done.
Well, and I'd just like to comment that, like I said, that's what we're working on in our ordinances, because it seems to me the only thing these people understand is money. And until we just make it so unrealistic to stay there because of the money thing, I think that's our biggest challenge. That's what we're working on right now.
So, John Rayfield, I grew up in Whiteburg Township. I've been here since 1976. My parents still live in the same house I grew up in. And now I live at 5275 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. I think, you know, sometimes when we're talking about the ordinances and the building permits and things like that, I think we're kind of getting derailed here. There are people using meth in that house. There are people coming there to buy meth. They take it and they get on their bicycle and they ride through the neighborhood. They walk through our yards and they walk down the streets. This is not about building permits. This is about a really dangerous situation. We're all watching this story unfold, right? I mean, Tony hit it perfectly that there was no calls there, and all of a sudden the calls are starting to ramp up. These things it's not plateauing, okay? And that break in the case that the sheriff was talking about, it's not going to be good. And we all know what's happening at that house. So are we all going to sit around here when that place, when a crackhead wanders into some kid's bedroom? When a crackhead rolls down from their tent they made on the shore and rolls into the water and drowns, when the gun starts going off and neighbor kids are getting shot, we all know that's happening at this house. No one can doubt it. So are we all going to be standing here in a year talking about that? You know, I don't know. I don't know what our options are. But
Well-
it's not about building permits, and you can charge Zach whatever you want. You can put all the liens you want on his house. He doesn't care about the money. He's renting the house out, he's getting money, he's selling drugs, and we're paying for it.
Well, let me ask you a question. As far as I can tell, yeah, that's really our only, as a recourse for the township, what would you like us to do? What does they, what is?
No,
all these
that's
na-
why we're here. I mean,
Well,
we gotta figure out, I mean,
okay,
what would you do? You
if
find
I-
syringe needles in your yard, and there's a couple comes from that house, they're all whacked out, and they're dropping syringe needles on your yard. What do you do?
Chad, you got an answer for that one?
Call a sheriff.
Exactly.
What's
See,
the
here's
sheriff gonna do?
well, here's
Those
the
are syringe
problem.
needles.
Here's the problem, is statutorily, the town doesn't enforce
Right.
criminal statutes.
Yeah.
At best, it can apply misdemeanor, make
Yeah.
complete misdemeanor violations, but that's about it. The actual felonies, what you're describing are felonies. That's up to the county attorney's office. And you know,
Yeah.
My
I get it.
experience with the Ramsey County
I
Sheriff is
know,
they pay a lot of, you know,
whatever.
this is,
You know,
you
we
know.
feel like you guys have really done a
Yeah.
lot for us, so, I just want to be really clear that, you know, I don't really get worked up whether he's using a 2x4 or 2x6 on his roof or not. It's more, I think these are much more dangerous situation than that. And, so I just don't want it to get railed, but, no, we
But that-
really
but that
appreciate everyone's
also-
help, and you guys have always been helpful in that.
But Tony, you got to
so-
remember, that also still keeps us going there, keeps us being
Yeah.
able to watch the place. If Mike wasn't issuing permits and trying to get inspections, we wouldn't know. And see, we have to be careful, because you can't just say it's a crack house. I don't want to get sued, so, because that's his recourse. He could turn around and turn this against you guys, too. So this is a fine line here, and so you got to be careful on how you throw that stuff around.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that's to our advantage to constantly have these citations, these permits, so we can get in there and keep checking on it. Especially if we have to go to a rental issue, and if he's showing he's trying to rent rooms, it's a violation, that we can shut that down. So all those things hopefully come into play on this thing.
Right. Thanks
As a rental
Trust me,
property,
we're
we
looking at
could.
every option we can think of.
Yeah, as a rental property, with the new ordinance, we could do something.
And
Actually,
that-
we could do
and that
something
is-
without the new ordinance, but it'd be a lot easier with the new
Yeah,
ordinance.
and that is coming, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Sorry it took so long to get
All right,
done.
anyone else? I know we appreciate your concern. Trust me, we all have these kind of neighbors, or have dealt with it. Some of these we've been dealing with for 4 or 5 years. It's so frustrating. But we don't forget about this stuff. And I'd like to see that when you come out here, everything you guys have said is now on the record. So we take this very seriously, and we appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll let the,
You want to jump the agenda a little and go with them next? Because we've already made them wait for...
yeah, just, I was just gonna say, why don't we let this group head on out, and
So,
then,
Mr. Chair, just for the record, said Township Road, it's Township Drive.
Township Drive?
That's the actual road, for the record.
Yeah, we'll bump
Township
that,
Drive.
we'll bump the public hearing up in front, so, because I know they've been sitting out in their
No,
cars.
that's fine. No, I mean,
Thanks, Mike. Good job.
We're doing Peterson Drive next? Is that what we're doing next?
What?
We're into Peterson next?
Yeah, I think we'll just jump, because like I said, we've already made them wait out there 40 minutes.
Sure. The other thing that Chad didn't really mention is that they meet parts of the abatement, the judges usually say, well, work with them.
that's...
That's
you
the
know,
other part.
I'm not getting the judge bashing, because...
I know.
For a great point, to a great extent, they're really pretty good. But they
Yes.
do look at this, they have a tin air when it comes to this stuff.
But they
I'll
do
say
not
that
like
much.
these things, period.
You need to have, after so many of these violations, you get a fast pass.
Well, actually, that's what the new, that's what I wrote in, they get, it's a two-strike deal. After the second strike, that's it. But you still have the right of due process to deal with, and that's what took so long, to try to figure out how to deal with due process.
Larry? Hey, Larry, if you wanna sit in my spot, I can move and stay out of the way. You sure? Okay.
Can you control the, are you gonna have projection?
It's warm in here. It's your call. Whatever you want, wherever you're most comfortable.
Oh, I think that's a full packet, the other ones are just shorter.
I think we should just start there, they can continue sending, and we could probably just get going.
What's that?
I said we probably can get started. They're here.
Yep.
Should I take over?
All right. We jumped the schedule around a little bit, because I know it's going to be a long night, so. Item number 8 is a public hearing. This is for the improvement 2024 for Peterson Road. We need to call. Let me get this. Need for a motion to waive the reading.
I'll move to waive the reading that proper publication of the hearing notices was in the newspaper.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And then I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And then I am going to turn over my chair position to Steve, seeing as how this item directly affects me also as a property owner. So it's all yours, Steve.
So who's going to take this one on? All yourself, Larry? Okay, so Larry Poplar, our engineer, will be ready to go.
All right, thank you, board members. As we mentioned, this is the Peterson Road Street Improvement Project. You've seen this project come before you last time in early June, when we accepted the feasibility report and scheduled the meeting for tonight for the public hearing and the neighborhood meeting. The neighborhood meeting was conducted on June 17th, and we had good participation of the property owners that are involved with this project. The neighborhood meeting, we went over the items or the feasibility report with them, and in your packet is a PowerPoint presentation we gave at that meeting. I'm not going to go through all the PowerPoint
I'm not gonna go over that PowerPoint. I'm just gonna highlight a few of the items for the benefit of, for you as a reminder of the project and a reminder for the residents. But the feasibility report discussed the existing conditions, the proposed improvements, and the proposed improvements included upgrading Peterson Road from H2 up past Mohegan Lane, and includes sanitary sewer improvements, water main improvements, including a water main connection at H2, at Mohegan Lane, and at Province Court. It includes storm water improvements, including a pond on the Three Oaks. Well, it's township property, but property that was dedicated with the Three Oaks project. Storm sewer extension for the street drainage. And then the project includes for the street, a 28-foot street with a 6-foot sidewalk on the east side of the roadway. This is a somewhat short project, between 800 and 900 feet, but the costs are $1.1 million for the project. And the reason it is so costly is that it's not only the street improvements, but the stormwater improvements, including that pond I mentioned, the water main improvements, and sanitary sewer improvements. So kind of a first-time improvement project, you get into higher costs for that. We like to think our estimates are high at this point. We are we are seeing good bids right now, but we want to be sure that we're preparing for maybe a worst-case scenario that we hope, with the cost that we're computing today, and then we get bids that are lower. Recent bidding has really shown a benefit of potentially bidding projects like this now over a year ago or perhaps in the future. Of that $1.1 million, we have assessments involved, and we're looking at assessments on this project of $15,000 for street improvements per property, $12,500 for sanitary, $12,500 for water main. There's different combinations of properties. Some properties already have water, some properties already have sanitary sewer. We have several corner lots that are assessed half units for street. So there's a variety of different assessments for each parcel depending on their setup and their location. So we provided with our presentation a amortization schedule looking at the 15 years for this assessment, breaking it down each year at a 3.5% interest rate. That rate hasn't, when you actually approve the project and bond for it, that rate will be determined at that point. We went over a homeowner, other costs for homeowner connection, and then we provided a funding table, and I'll just walk you through that very quickly here. Township funds, based on the formula we put together for this project, $460,000 in township funds, 300 when you add the assessments up for the water, sewer, and street improvements, $322,500 in assessments. Township water fund of $80,000, township sanitary fund of $12,500, and township stormwater fund of $225,000. The assessments based on the $1.1 million make up 29% of the total costs. We looked at the process and the schedule and ran that through. And the next step right now is the public hearing. And the public hearing is the opportunity for the public to speak to the board about their opinions about the project, details of the project, talk through any concerns they might have. The last thing we went over was project merits. And so we believe from a township perspective there's a benefit to reduce gravel road maintenance, reduce erosion, and improve water quality, provide those water main connections that we talked about, the street connection,
extends the sewer and water for possible future subdivision, parcels to the north. And then, again, going over that this is a good bidding climate right now, and there's low interest rates. From a homeowner's perspective, we see a benefit to the homeowners in their increased property values and resale, reduced homeowner maintenance, removal of septic mounds and pipes, gravel road conversion, and drainage improvements for the project. So those are the things we went over at the neighborhood meeting, and we can talk more about tonight if there's questions on that. But tonight we're looking if the board feels like this project should move forward, ordering the improvement, and ordering that improvement requires 4/5 majority vote. So basically, both remaining board members that are voting on this both need to vote for that improvement to order it. If that happens, then ordering the preparation of plans of specifications and adopting a resolution declaring the official intent to reimburse for the bonding. So I'm available for questions either now or as people talk and have questions they want us to address. So thank you.
Scott, you and I are the lone soldiers here. So do you have any questions for Larry before you open it up? I do not, because we've went over this a number of times. So I think we're ready to open the public comment portion. Is there a motion to do so?
I will move to open the public hearing.
And I'll second that. So what's going to happen now is individuals can come up. You need to state your name and address. And at the same time, those that follow that may have a comment, try to add something other than what the person ahead of you had talked about, or say you're in agreement with that, but you still got to state your name and address. And we want to try and limit the overall commentary of individuals in the 3-minute mark. We got quite a few people, so. Who's first?
Patricia Peterson, 5474 Peterson Road, here with my husband Dennis. We are here to state an opposition to all parts of the Peterson Road project. Following are our reasons why. We have a perfectly functioning well and septic, so we're not in need of water and sewer and have no desire for this for our property. While we do appreciate that there are neighbors that have stated, may I take my mask off? Sorry, it's really. While we do appreciate that there are neighbors that have stated their need for at least sewer, we have noted from the handout we received at the June 17th informational meeting that the neighbors on the west side of us would be receiving sewer hookup from the rear of their properties. There were only 2 properties, 5470 Peterson and ours, that would have sewer access from Peterson Road. Therefore, any neighbors in need would not be impacted. All aspects of this property were to end at our north property line, and no further improvement would be done until further future development would occur north of us. We have spoken to Mike Poland, the owner of the vacant property to our north, who has told us he has no intentions of selling or developing his property, nor does he have any desire for improvements at this time. Our gravel road has served us well for the last 35 years we have lived there, and we are sure it has served others as well since its original construction sometime prior to 1940. We have never had a runoff issue since it's very good drainage, and the cost of maintaining it, we're assuming, is very low since it's usually graded about 1 time per year. Even if this project advances and the paving is done, again, it does stop at our north property line, so the gravel road will still need to be maintained and possibly costing even more now, as whoever is hired to grade it is coming out for only grading half a road. It's not a through street, so the amount of traffic on it really is minimal. While some of the traffic may go to the allowed speed limit driving on it, we believe the speed would only increase if it were paved. We also fear usage could increase substantially if it was paved. We can foresee people exiting Centerville Road through the Three Oaks development to access H2 if they were traveling east toward the school. We moved in knowing it was a gravel road, so we've never had any dust concerns or complaints. However, there are many environmentally friendly products such as Dust-X, EnviroFluid, Dust Off, to name a few, that could be applied to solve the dust problem. If the road remains gravel, then the issue of curb and gutter goes by the wayside. Lastly, as far as the sidewalk, from what we observed driving around, it doesn't appear that any of the following township roads accessed from County Road H2. Feather Court, Fisher, Normandy, Brittany, and Township Drive, none of them have sidewalks, nor do the surrounding developments, Provence Lane, Pine Hills, and Three Oaks, which all have a lot more houses, thus a lot more foot traffic. Since the sidewalk for Peterson Road was proposed as a safety issue due to Garley Park at the north end of the street, it puzzles us that Eagle Park on Township Road with playground equipment and tennis courts does not have any sidewalks to access this park. And we're sure that Eagle Park gets more used than Garley Park ever will. To the best of our knowledge, in the past 35 years we have lived on the road, we have never had a pedestrian hit by a vehicle, so we see absolutely no need for a sidewalk. Thank you.
Who else would like to speak either for or against?
Hello, I'm Lee Feishen. My wife and I live at 5451 Peterson Road. This would be the first house on the south of the new development, on the west side of the road. I would like to ask this group, what is the main reason that started this? Why upgrade our road?
Well, I guess as acting chair here, you know, it's a continuation of the township improvements. I moved in the township, hear me for a minute, back in the 70s. And when I moved out here, Centerville Road was a gravel road. Okay, so was H2, not a really good road. My neighborhood, I live on the north side of Otter Lake School. I could see the lake. Improvements happen. It's just a foregone that it's going to happen. It's also because we have told the people at Mahagan, we know that's going to be used, and that gravel road will not take the traffic. It just will not.
So the biggest benefit, or the biggest reason, is because of the new development?
No, that's one of the reasons.
Okay, all right.
But there's also planned future development. You saw that in the neighborhood meeting, I believe.
Correct.
Whether they currently are going to or not. I mean, it's a vision.
I'm not trying to be oppositional, I'm just, I missed the neighborhood meeting, I had to work. So I was curious what the main reason was why our road needed to be upgraded. Because I don't believe it's majority of the neighbors on our road.
That want it?
No.
Oh, no. I think it's a
So it seems to be it's benefiting the new development the most.
No.
So if that's the case, why is the cost being divided by 6 instead of 34?
I said that's one of the reasons.
Okay,
It's
but
also
still.
for the future development, and plus it's the only gravel road in the township, and probably in the county.
We should be proud of that.
Well, okay, noted, but
All right.
but that isn't the only reason.
Okay.
Just for the record.
And then I already stated that I feel that the split is drastically wrong. If one of the reasons for upgrading the road is to benefit the new development should be paying a greater cost of this project.
Well, one of the reasons is so that even if you left it as a gravel road, the road cannot handle traffic, yours and others, and for the future.
Well,
It can't.
I think it should be made permanently washboarded so it just, traffic goes slow and, okay, regardless, change is happening. It just seems like change for the sake of change to me. If it must be paved, why only do it part way? That just seems asinine in my opinion. Either do the whole road or don't do it at all. And then I believe curbs were already mentioned. None of the other streets in our area have curbs. I understand the need for gutter for storm drainage. Why sidewalk? As was mentioned, there are no other sidewalks in our neighborhood. Personally, for our property, we're fine paying for access to water. We don't need it, our well is fine, but if our well fails in the future, we have the option then of hooking up to it. And same thing with sewer. Sewer access would be great. Our septic system works now, but in the future, if it fails, we would then have the option. And then I was wondering what the typical assessment percentage is for a project, the portion that the homeowners typically pay.
Well, I'll say that, in the past, it was 100%. I think that's a pretty fair statement. It used to be 100%.
Because I've talked to people in surrounding communities, and it seems like it's typically 25%.
Every area has a different
Has a
approach.
different
The
approach,
The township historically has had trying to keep the lowest tax rate, have done, on the other side, assessments at 100% or thereabouts of the cost. This is a change,
No,
quite frankly.
I understand the change. Just doesn't seem like it's being applied fairly.
Did I misstate it? I mean.
No, it's accurate.
All right, well, I feel this project cost should be split many more ways than it is currently, thus the assessment percentage per homeowner would go down. Thank you.
Jerry Price, 5425 Peterson Road. I agree with everything Leaf said. My question is that I have two lots that are gonna get assessed, one's deferred. I need to know on that deferred property, is there gonna be interest accrued on that deferring? To the point where it gets split, or I want to split it?
I can answer the question.
Okay.
Yes, interest is charged.
So that 40 grand that's deferred will be charged interest as we go?
At the
Until it-
assessment rate, you're right. That's the statutory, that's the way it works.
Well, that sucks.
Well, I understand, I appreciate, I sympathize with you, but that's what statutes call for.
My well and septics is fine. If you're needing to pave this road because of the extra traffic, because of the people living on Mohegan and the through traffic, they should be involved with paying for this.
Again,
I know, we're beating a dead horse.
Not the only reason.
So my point here is that I don't need any of this. I want my road the same way it is. Thank you.
I'm Jeanette Miller, and I live on 5470 Peterson Road. And I've been there 8 years as a renter, and I'm now buying the house. I was led to believe that it was supposed to be a cul-de-sac from the Megan Avenue, or however you pronounce it, instead of a road coming through, because it comes right into our driveway. It comes straight across. So anyone coming around, speeding around, that's exactly where they'll go, is right into my driveway. And I assumed it was going, what I heard last year, because I was not a homeowner, that there was going to be a cul-de-sac. There was not going to be a thoroughfare in between our road and Centerville Road.
Who told you that?
Pat, when he was living.
Oh. But it was not the township?
No, I wasn't involved
Okay.
at this point, and I just said,
I'm just trying
that's
to
what I was
clarify
led to
who
understand, but I
told
wanted
you?
to say that it's going to be a hazard for us by people coming across right into our driveway. So how are we going to stop people from coming in and stealing stuff from us? Because it's almost like wide open. It's like, let's go in there. And I don't want that happening. So anyway, that was mine, and I agree with everything that Pat and, I don't know your name.
Dave.
Have said, so I don't want the road changed either, so, thank you.
Yeah, my name's Carl Dietrich. I also stay at 5470 Peterson Road, like my mom stated. Pat had stated that the properties that were going to be built across the street were going to be one level or lower, which they're not. He also had told us that we were going to have a cul-de-sac and that road was going to be located to the north, not coming directly across into our driveway. We have a brand-new septic system approved by the township, and we have a well. We have no need for these so-called improvements. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl Hagan. I also represent 5470 Peterson Road. And I agree with everything everybody has said up to this point, and I would just add that for a $40,000 price tag for a relatively short improvement distance just seems exorbitant to me. I think everybody is feeling a little bit of sticker shock. That even if you roll that into the property taxes over 15 years at 3.5%, it's still a hefty markup on one's property taxes every 6 months. So I think everybody's trying to raise their jaws up off the ground a little bit with that number. So thank you.
Denny Peterson, 5474 Peterson Road. I think one of the issues that I have is when Three Oaks is going to go in, that it was going to be one big project. It was going to be a phase one. And then all of a sudden it got to be, no, we're going to do phase two down the road. Well, then all of a sudden phase two showed up real quick. And I'm thinking, I'm not saying anybody's sleeping with anybody, but I'm thinking the boys in North Oaks over there got a lot of power here. And by putting it to phase two, they don't have to pay for any of this stuff. And I bet you for anything that when they sold the property to these people that are buying these $660,000 homes, they know that gravel road is there. They gotta know it. If you're that stupid, you're buying something for $660,000, you're gonna complain about a gravel road, and you should have stayed where you lived. And just to do something like this because, well, money's cheap, labor, guys need to work, doesn't make any sense to me. I could put in a new well and a septic tank for cheaper than I'm gonna pay for all this improvement. We've never had water issues on that road, and I think Tom could agree. I think they may grade it one time a year, maybe if I call up and complain. But they usually don't even complain to the guys because they're busy. And I think they do it on a barter system. I don't know, maybe somebody could cost me how much it costs to grade the road, but I don't think it's busting the township. I don't know how much money you're gonna be saving, spending $1 million to save money on maintaining 9/10, well, it's not even 9/10 of a road. The whole road might be 9/10 of a mile. But maybe we should just leave up the barriers there at Mahogany Lane or whatever, and those people can just go out to Centerville Road. And then you wouldn't have to worry about the washboard effect on the gravel road. Yeah. And I know, I've never heard anybody get hit by a car on that road. And if you get hit by a car on Peterson Road, I guess your time was due. But that's my feeling, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Eischen, 5451 Peterson Road. My first issue comes with us being told that these were going to be low-level, low-profile homes. I walk out my front door, I can't fucking see the sky because of the house. I apologize for my language. I will stop. So first, I think we got duped there. It was supposed to be lower level, low-profile homes. That's not what is there. Now you're talking about a road coming directly off the side of my house. You know all of those houses are going to be using that road. You also said that our dirt road can't handle the cars that are on it. Our dirt road right now handles all the traffic we need perfectly. We don't need an addition. The only addition is going to be to improve the curbside and the residents for people coming down Centerville and people in the new development coming down our road. It's not going to improve us. It's not what we wanted. It's not an improvement.
Hi, I'm Linda Price. I live at 5425 Peterson Road. My question is, after looking at, how do you even say it? Is it Megan? Mahegan?
Megan.
Megan?
Megan,
Okay.
yep.
So when you get to Megan, and it's blocked off right now to connecting with Peterson Road, there's still about 38 feet of curb missing. There's still at least 15 feet of pavement that needs to be done. Are we going to have to pay for that too? I mean, they didn't finish it because it's blocked off because they're not allowed to access the road yet, supposedly until the homes are finished being built. So there's still finishing road work to be done there. Is that going to get tied onto the assessment that you're already trying to give us to pave Peterson Road? That's one question I have. Or is the developers for Three Oaks gonna finish paving their own part of that road? Anybody got that answer?
Larry?
It includes that cost for the connection, the street connection.
So it's going to us?
The water is, and sewer are deeper, so, and they're to the end of the road, but they stop the road because we have to dig and it'd be disturbed, with the connections for water and sewer. So, the answer is those costs are part of the calculation.
That's lovely. And then the whole sidewalk deal, like, why do we need a sidewalk going to nowhere? I know you guys have heard me say this before. Garley Park, whew, it's nothing. There is no sidewalk. You have a sidewalk going from Peterson Road on H2 to the end of Province. That goes nowhere. I don't know, do you feel bad that you just stopped it there and now we need to have something that connects that and comes down our street so people can walk? I mean, we've got all these people walking their dogs, not picking up their feces. You are talking about a road not handling the car traffic, but now you want to invite more foot traffic to a dead end. And I want to live in the now, not the future. Maybe one day Garley Park will be cool and there's something to do down there, but to get on a little sidewalk or to put markings in a street so people can walk down some pavement for so far and then jump back on the dirt just seems stupid to me. I guess if I had to have a sidewalk, I'd rather have the pavements in the street. But you're just giving us less roadway to drive on. And I've said it before at the meetings when we had the planning commission here, and I don't remember the lady's name, Beth, and she said you guys were gonna stick it to us. And we were supposed to be pony-backed on your project when you guys said, well, when we bring in all this stuff and we decide to do city sewer and water and stuff, we'll give you an analysis and then you guys can jump on board and, you made it sound all pretty like it was going to be cost sharing, and it didn't turn out that way. We ended up being a separate project. And you left space in there so that you could run it down the back of all our properties, disturb Mr. Perdone's property, which I'm sure he doesn't need any of that. Just being the nice guy, letting us have it. But yet, it's gonna all cost us $40,000. I can tell you, there's already one for sale sign up at the end of the road, and there will be more. And I think it feels really crappy. People can say, oh, I love my cub. Well, we can't say, oh, I love my township. Because they're gonna, you guys are gonna stick it to us with all these assessments because you want change. And I agree with the rest of my neighbors who are saying this change is because of a development. And North Oaks has every right to build on their property. They have every right to put those homes in, and they did. And those are beautiful homes, and they've done a great job. But I just don't see why they can't come in off Centerville Road, use their cul-de-sac and their turns rounds, just like Pine Hill does, just like the townhomes behind us on Province. There's a lot of ins and outs. I drive school bus. I see them everywhere. And just like I said before, as soon as there's an accident on 35E, everybody jumps on Centerville in morning traffic, and they've got to sit in line to get up to 96. And if they're smart, they take a left and cut across H2 and get down to Otter Lake. Well, now we're just giving them another cut through. Let's cut through the new Three Oaks development. Then we can line up Peterson Road with cars. So what used to be a nice little rural, quiet neighborhood, now my neighbors are going to leave to go to work. Thank God I leave at 4 a.m., but you guys that are leaving at 6:30, you might not get out of your driveway if there's an accident or something. And so now you're sitting there saying, okay, so she's saying, oh, there's more reason we need to pave that road. We don't need a sidewalk, definitely no sidewalk. We don't need you to take more woods. We measured across, you put a little path in going nowhere, you're just taking more privacy out. You put the paving markings in there like you did for, I think it's on 4th Street and 9th Street, they have that. You call it designated bike or walkway or whatever. I don't know. I'm not in favor of any of it. I know that change has to happen, but I think you need to get the cost down. I think the neighborhood's feeling very threatened and very abused by the cost. The what is the overall percentage? 29% isn't legally, can it be something like 20%? Didn't we hear something about that before? About getting the percentage, the overall percentages down?
To qualify for a certain bond rate on a 429 bond, we'd have to do a minimum of 20% assessments.
So, and isn't these paperwork saying 29%?
Yeah.
So why? Why can't we bring some of this percentage down? Why can't you guys find some ways to cut this cost and work with the neighbors? The way it was promised 15 months ago, and the township got busy, you guys had other stuff going on, the analysis didn't happen. Didn't happen when we thought it was gonna happen in that time frame. I'm sure, evidently, there was other things that took higher priority, which is life, but at this point now, we need to be the priority in how we feel. And as we as taxpayers, and we've been living there and taking care of this neighborhood and working on this road, and I just think you guys need to bring this cost way down and make it way more affordable. There was just a road in, I think it was Hugo, that was paved, a dirt road. They didn't have any gutters. They didn't put in drainage stuff. They just paved the dirt road. Why don't we do that? If you need some pavement, just put some pavement on. We don't need your sidewalk. We don't need your pavings. We don't need your gutters. You know? I think that's all I got for now, but if we get to have another meeting, I'm sure I can bring more to the board.
Anyone else?
All right, Steve Paskett, 5441 Peterson Road. I'm the guy with the iffy septic system. I will benefit from it immediately once it gets put in, the well. The water, we would probably also do that. And my choice is simple, just like they've stated. I either go with this for those two reasons, and I get it that way, or I'm spending money for a septic system and a new well. And I guarantee you, that's the year you'll do the road anyway. And that's just the way I roll. So, you know, as far as the paved road, yeah, I'm in agreement with everyone else. The sidewalk just doesn't fit. There's no neighbor, there isn't any other roads around there like that. I don't understand that at all. And going halfway down the road, I'm still in agreement with that too. Seems bizarre to me to stop halfway. It would make more sense to do something a little more temporary in the paving and go down all the way so everyone benefits from it. And then later on, if that gets developed down there, that's just a cheaper way of tearing that out and put the curbs and stuff in then at some point. That's just my feeling. And the dust, after yesterday, bringing my car home, I've had it with the dust, so just saying.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Chad?
Yes, go ahead.
Well,
Can we?
Oh, Ed, go ahead.
Oh, Ed, sorry. I guess we gotta listen to Ed.
We don't have to.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ed Perdon, 5435 Peterson Road. I have to have two hats here. As a longtime township resident, as a longtime township planner, sitting on public safety, I hear a lot of arguments back and forth for a lot of things. A couple things. The township's policy has always been, and it always will be, we have to get people off of sewer and water. They need to get on public. Systems fail. They're going to fail. I don't care if it's great now. Tomorrow it could drop. Wells go bad. I know it's 40 grand to put a well in a mound system in. That's the 40 grand that you would be paying whether you get the road and the access or you have to put in a brand new. I get that as a township board member, it's going to come. A couple things I have changed my mind on. I was talking to Tom. The sidewalk is part of the comp plan. You know what? It's only comprehensive. I see no reason to put that sidewalk there. I do see a reason, as a longtime Public Safety Commission member, you got to have a little bit wider road to handle traffic. People are going to walk on the road. They're going to come from Pine Tree Hills, they're going to walk. They're going to walk down Peterson. They're going to walk down Mayhagen. They're going to walk. So you got to make allowances for that. Maybe the sidewalk's not the most important. I don't know if that's a big savings or not. I have the advantage of not being right on the road. I still eat dust. I have a dirt driveway, so I'm dirt no matter what we do. I'm probably, besides having the road done, I'm the most impacted. I'm going to lose 20 feet of my property by about 700 feet, just to have that sewer come down my property line. But I'm willing to do that to make sure that my neighbors have sewer. It's an inconvenience to me, and I've been holding off even paving my driveway because they're going to tear it up. So I've been waiting and waiting. So when this comes, I can finally maybe pave my driveway and get rid of the rest of the dirt I got to deal with. When it gets back to cost, I've always said, I can't believe the appraisal says that this improves our properties 40 grand. I can't get over that number. We've never ever assessed anybody that kind of money for any kind of improvements anywhere. So as a resident, I'd like to see somehow getting down to that 20%. And if we come in with really good numbers, I want to see that 20% off that good number, not all of a sudden that's savings for the township. I have privy to know where township money goes and comes, and I happen to know there's ways of subsidizing this project because it is so absorbent a cost. I am for the project. It's just the price is just not acceptable. And I think there's some ways that we can financially get this thing down a little bit more reasonable. Like I said, I haven't seen the exact appraisals, but boy, I can't, I'm already getting taxed out of the place, and now another 40 grand, then the appraiser's gonna look at me like, well, your house just wanted 40 grand. Now I can appraise you, or I can tax you some more.
Yeah.
So all that stuff comes into play, and like I said, you still have some other costs, even if you have the sewer and water accessible. I understand people don't like change, but this is coming. That road is gonna get opened up. We can't stop them. They will sue us if we don't open that road. That road was made to connect. The minute they're done with their project, and they're getting close, I foresee in the spring that barricade has to come down. There's going to be a stop sign there just for them, but they're still going to open that thing up. It's also not a safety. It's a safety factor for them. They've got trash trucks and delivery trucks having eventually no place to turn around down there. Right now they're using the empty lots, but those lots are filling up. So the road's going to open. Now, making this road all the way to the end, to me, is not a good idea. There are too many ifs what that road will eventually do. It can come down the freeway, and like the concept plan that Larry showed us, they can take a hard turn. That road will never go straight. There's just too much wetland down there. So I understand stopping where we're stopping. I understand that that's the most people affected. I understand the assessments for those. The cost is, I think the town can do a little better.
Mr. Chair. Oh. Never mind.
Denny Peterson. So what will you guys do when the 28 homeowners show up here on a Monday and they're bitching about all the traffic that's going through their neighborhood, and they ask you to put up a barrier and not have the road there? Would you be able to do that?
Well, that's a speculation, but if you're asking me, I would say no.
Yeah, but there's three of you, so I mean,
You're right.
because the next thing, and this is the way it off, and I know how it's going to be. Those 28 people, they're spending all that money. They know that freeway is right over there, about 600 feet from them, and now they're going to come here and they're going to complain about the noise of that freeway. And I've lived there 35 years, and I can have friends over and sit out there and drink a beer, and I don't even hear it. But I know they're going to be here and they're going to be complaining about that. And then the day comes, if the boys ever get enough money and want to buy Mike Poland's and Kenny's and LeMay's and the Garley Park. I don't know why we want to park down at that road anyway, but that's another story. But who in their right mind is going to pay all that money to develop that? And then what's going to happen? All those people that buy those homes, now they're going to want you to put up a wall to the freeway because it's all bouncing off of the wall that's on the other side now. So I think you got your hands full, guys. I just hope you use some common sense and give us a break and think this over and postpone. Thank you.
Anybody else before we close this portion of the hearing? Going once, twice? Public,
No, go ahead.
we'll close the, I need a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
I make a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may, and I'll ask the township attorney for some guidance on this one, is it appropriate just to ask a overly simplified question looking for consensus from the residents here, just for the board's own consumption? It's not binding or anything. I'm just curious about one aspect to the project here. If it's not, tell me, we won't.
No, there's no reason for this type of issue. Understand, this type of issue only. There's nothing wrong with the board requesting the consensus of the citizens on an issue like this.
Okay.
But keep in mind, this is one of the few times it actually is allowed.
Okay. So I guess what my question would be to residents on Peterson, if this project was presented to you where no cost to you was involved, and we, sorry, Tom, take out the sidewalk, we widen the street, and it was no cost to you.
Still wouldn't want it.
So 1, 2, no, 3. You would or wouldn't?
I would, I'm sick of the dust.
What's that?
I don't like the dust in our septic and our well.
Okay.
We're gonna need new, so that would be why.
Because
But
you would-
we're right along the road and we get hit with the dust.
So with cost as no object, you would be in favor of it? Same? Does anybody else?
Question.
No, there's nothing hidden in that. We're not tying it to anything. I just, from my own,
Totally no cost.
totally no cost.
Just for the road portion?
No. No
Even the
cost.
water and sewer?
Yeah, just out of curiosity.
Of course we all be for it.
Okay. I was just curious.
So maybe you should do a raise of hands, because I'm hearing a lot of divergence.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I don't think any of us would expect that to happen.
no. But what I'm trying to get at is just the idea, once you get past the cost to the project, if you, now, I do see people shaking their heads, but I also see people nodding it as well. If you get past the cost, if you're just looking at the improvement to the road.
That's not an improvement.
Well, lived there long enough, it is.
Okay, so
We've
we've,
lived there 8 years.
We've lived there
we got
32
differing
years, and we
opinions,
get
so
all the dust
I don't.
when you fly down.
Nice try.
I know.
Happy with
I thought maybe we get some kind of a
Okay.
consensus, but we didn't, so.
I think we gotta get back on track personally. We've closed the public portion of the hearing, and my question really comes back, I guess, to the board here. What we're hearing tonight, though, is that the residents have said the sidewalk is an expensive proposition, not necessary for this project. Larry, what would it take to cost this, taking sidewalks out? And how fast a time can that occur?
Well, we've kind of already analyzed that. The costs are, if you widen the road to 32 feet from the 28 that we're proposing, remove the sidewalk, the costs are roughly very close to what they were, within 2 or 3%, so.
Thank you, I already knew that pretty much. So then the next objection is to the overall assessment amount. Mr. Town Attorney, what avenues do we have to explore options if the assessed values come in at 40,000 to reduce that? Is that just the board's prerogative? Or what do we have to, we have
Well,
to show the value.
Keep in mind, you haven't established the actual final assessment yet. There's another hearing on that. But, just so we're clear, you can't assess more than the project increases the value of the individual properties. So they have to increase the value of the individual property by at least $40,000. Anything over and above, if they don't increase it by that much, the difference would be considered to be a taking.
And that is yet to be determined.
You're talking about the assessed value? Well, we do have, as part of the process, there was an appraisal done estimating what the impact on the values of the properties were. And they did support the $40,000, the $40,000 assessment.
And so, but the final time when comes down to a number of, let's say, $35,000, $40,000, individuals do have a right to object to that amount and go to.
Under the statute, if you follow the statutory process, you can object to the assessment amount, and you're entitled to a hearing before district court. By the way, when the final levied assessment is posed by the town, the notice will include an explanation of your rights to appeal. So it's not like that's part of the notice. You will be informed of that. But bottom line is this, it's really pretty simple. If you want to, if you feel your assessment is, if you feel the assessment is greater than the actual increase in value of property, you have the right to appeal it. Just have to follow the proper procedure, which is laid out in the notice, which is yet to come, because this is not the final assessment.
Will that be mailed or put in the paper, or?
It's put in the paper and mailed to you.
Can I ask a question? Who does your assessment? Okay, Linda Price, 5425 Peterson. Who does the who do you have that you hire to say, yes, it has?
The appraisal, you mean?
The appraiser, yeah.
That was Samper and Associates in White Bear Lake. We've used them before.
And what if we hired somebody to do it for us as a group, and they came back with something different? How does that work?
Well, that's your right, and that's what.
That's what the appeal would be.
That's what court cases are all about.
Okay.
But, I mean, you could do it before then. If you wanted to have your properties appraised by your own appraiser before the final hearing, you could do that and bring that testimony to the hearing. You have a right to do so.
But does it benefit anything? Because, appraisers, they're not free.
You're right, they're not free. I can't make you a promise, because A, I'm not on the board.
Right.
I'm just the town attorney. But, I mean, you have that right.
Right.
And you'd be honest with you, if you did appeal your assessment, you'd need an appraiser anyway. I mean,
Right.
I've seen people do it on their own.
Not so good.
It works sometimes, but it depends. You weren't here for the last hearing, so you didn't get my statements on what I think of judges, which overall I do admire judges, but they have their own way of thinking sometimes. You're never sure what they're going to do.
I was here at the last meeting, but my neighbor is an appraiser, and so when
I mean, I'm sorry, the meeting just tonight just before
Oh,
this.
tonight, okay.
So, I mean, that's all I can tell you.
All right, thank you.
Well, I guess with that, whether the sidewalk is added or not added, I think the chair actually stated it very well, that wells, sewers are expensive. It's going to happen. And I think we have to move forward with this project. So, with that, I'll make a resolution ordering the improvement for the 2020-4 project. Move forward without the sidewalk, I guess.
So you can do that, you can just throw out what the entire neighborhood says and just do what you want.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Did you listen to us?
Absolutely.
No, you didn't, not a word.
The future, I'm talking about the future. Well, I'm not gonna take it personal, but you go ahead. I made a resolution, it hasn't been seconded, so.
I did just want to ask one more question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Sorry. There had been question earlier on 29% versus 20%, and I think you were clarifying the numbers still kind of, we haven't finalized the actual costs yet. So whether it's 20, 29, or 100%, if it's not 100%, then the difference between what is assessed and what is paid goes into the general tax levy. Is that correct?
Yes.
So rather than the individual homeowners being directly assessed, it's going to be paid or spread among a larger population, but still, it's getting paid.
Yes.
Everybody's paying into it. So one way or the other, it's being assessed to everybody, I guess.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
The motion is made, is there a second?
I will second it.
Ed, you're abstaining, correct?
Yep.
The motion has been made and seconded to order the resolution for the improvement project 2020-4. Second part of this is to pass a resolution ordering preparation of plans and specifications for the improvement for project 2020-4. I'll move to make that resolution.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Both
Aye.
of us? Unanimous?
And I'll abstain.
Sorry, I forgot to do that part.
Can I ask a question, or closed?
This is, well, technically, the public portion is closed.
So it was over before it started.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Shoved down our throat.
Liar.
Liar.
Do you want to do the third one?
Didn't get to that. I'll get back there.
When will the next meeting be?
Specific to this project?
Yes.
No, what's the process now, Larry?
Completion of the plans and specifications, and then we'd have a neighborhood meeting where we would present the plans for your review.
Basically.
And comment. And then after that, those plans are brought to the board for approval. And then they'd authorize bidding the project. And then those bids would come back to the board for an award. And then there's a process for the assessment, which is another neighborhood meeting and another public hearing where you can appeal that assessment or provide commentary to the board on the assessment amount.
So when will the next meeting be regarding this project?
The neighborhood meeting for the plans and specifications will be late July or early August. We're looking to try to get the project bid yet this year to take advantage of this bidding climate. So.
Sounds like I'll be on vacation on the next meeting, which is a bummer.
So the last meeting, though, I remember that they said if the bids come in too high,
Yes.
but it kind of seems like, it don't matter what the cost's gonna be, but who would be deciding that?
Well, the board has several approvals. If the bids come in too high, the board could decide to
Against it.
stop the project at that point.
But, yeah. I just had to ask that, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I remember they said if the bids were too high, they could squash it, but I think that's the best deal, so. All right, thank you.
There's several options there. If the bids come high, we could look to rebid it in the spring. They could stop the project completely.
We'll just have to vote smarter.
There's a little correction to the second resolution in that it's an amount not to exceed $46,500 and noting the utility easement will need to be obtained.
I will second that amended motion.
And the third resolution is declaring the official intent to reimburse expenses.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Moved. You're back in charge.
All right. Boy, Steve, I'm glad you were chairing that one. All right, we'll go back to the regular agenda, moving back to old business, item 7A, Hockey Day in Minnesota. Patrick, you gonna take that?
I think that'll be Tom.
Sure.
And I can just tell you, well, go ahead, Tom, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, been working with representatives of Hockey Day, Minnesota, who have come to us looking at possibly using Polar Lakes Park in the near future for that event. Staff's been working with them. They've met with the board a couple times, and they have requested to use the park, and they are looking for a township resolution that would support Hockey Day in Minnesota, and that would be at Polar Lakes Park. So this is a request to adopt the resolution we've provided that would support the event at Polar Lakes Park in White Bear Township within the next couple of years.
Any questions to Tom?
Just, Chad, I guess you had a chance to look at this and...
I did.
Looks all right?
It's, the important thing is it's non-binding resolution, which is, there's no contract, so yeah, I have no problem with it.
Okay. My question.
Steve, got anything?
Nope, I think we've discussed it enough.
Yes.
All right, then I need a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution for Hockey Day, Minnesota.
For exclusive use?
Well, for a special event request for Hockey Day, Minnesota for exclusive use of Polo Lakes Park, 1280 Hammond Road, White Bear Township.
I will second that motion.
That would be date to be determined.
Yes.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all opposed. That motion carries. All right, item 7B, the Emergency Management Team Report.
Mr. Chair, that's what I was going to say. We don't really have anything to report from that. It's been pretty quiet unless the attorney has something to add. It's
checked-
business as usual for us.
I checked last week, and there's been no new emergency order executive order issued by the governor that's changes the way the township operates.
Isn't he coming up shortly with another one, though?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Does he have a date?
I was under the impression it was supposed to be July 1st.
Yeah, I thought it was July 2nd, but.
Well, I mean, I didn't see anything that affected the township.
Yeah.
I trying to remember exactly what he did do on July 1st. I can't remember off the top of my head. I thought I had it copied here, but I only have the last one, the June 4th.
Well, the next announcement he makes is going to be responding to how things are spiking a little bit here, so.
Commissioner today said that they are monitoring for the next 3 weeks, based off the 4th of July activity.
Oh, sure.
A spike, and if there is such, they will take appropriate action at that time.
Yep.
So we're in a monitoring state, and we still have in place our emergency management team if in the event that we have to do
Still in
things.
place.
So, I think we're well positioned for that. But as it relates to the COVID issue, I think it's fair to say that the state has allocated funds to townships, us included, for any COVID-related expenses we can document.
Unbudgeted expenses.
Unbudgeted. Well, we didn't budget for
Who
COVID.
budgeted for this? So we put it in next year's budget.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, with that money we got from it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Administratively, though, things are back to.
Yeah.
Pretty much normal.
Yep, very busy.
All right, that it?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Chair, you still have number 5, still have 5G from the consent agenda, the special 3-dog license.
Oh, we're not there far yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not that far yet. We gotta do
No.
Tom's part.
We gotta move down to
Town planner.
9A, Garley Park.
I guess that is new business, isn't it? Not my fault, I jumped the gun.
Come on.
I know, it seems like we've been here forever. Tom?
Garley Park. Historically, there was a park that was provided by Dick Garley, who owned the property. 10 or so years ago, we got together with Dick and worked out a lease where he basically let us use the property for $20 a year, one of those feel free to use it type things. Mr. Garley sold the property to Mr. Rick Ringel, owner of North Oaks Lawn Service. They've been through here and received approval of a non-conforming use permit for their business there. But Rick was in last week, and we kind of dropped the ball on renewing the lease, and he said, yeah, I'd love to have you guys lease it. So we put together a lease very similar to the Garley lease, which would allow us the town and public use of the property for $20 a year. So looking for town board support of this lease.
There are sections in this document that are highlighted in yellow. Did I miss what that meant?
Page 129.
Probably changes or additions to the original one, I'm guessing.
Let me take a look. I think those might be what my suggestions.
Ah, that's it.
Well, then that would.
Take a fast look here.
I'll not ask my next question, which is, have you taken a look at it?
Yeah, okay, that one was this one. Yeah, these are all suggested changes, language changes suggested language changes.
Tom, will we be doing any upgrades down there? It's pretty rough.
To the park?
Benches are worthless.
We really don't have it in our capital improvement program because we don't own it, but certainly we could take a look at it.
Well, but if we're gonna lease it and use it as a township park, we at least gotta fix the benches.
Okay.
It's pretty, as Linda said, no one wants to go there.
Yeah. Any problem with that, Chad?
No, that's why,
That's
that's
why
why,
we have a
it's under section 6 there. You have the right to propose the changes, Ringel has to approve it, but the approval will not be unreasonably withheld.
I mean, even if that, I see kids playing soccer down there once in a while. I don't know if they use the actual backstop that much, but it would be, we either take them out or upgrade them.
Yeah, we didn't provide any of that equipment. That was Mr. Garley originally, so.
Okay, well, then maybe we just remove
We'll
them, I
take
don't know.
responsibility for it and
But yeah,
upgrade it.
Something's gotta be done.
Okay, thanks for letting us know.
All right, that it?
That's it for Garley
Any
Park.
questions of Tom?
No, I think not.
All right, then I need a motion to approve this new lease agreement.
I'll make a motion based on the town attorney and staff review and recommendations, approve the lease agreement for Garley Park.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, that motion carries. Okay, item 9B is the Polar Lake Park restrooms.
Yes, we had budgeted for construction of a restroom in Polar Lakes Park this year. So this has been under review by the park board. And during the review, the town board suggested, since we had planned to do another restroom next year, let's just do them both at once. It seems to make some financial sense. To do that, obviously an expensive project, but start with the two recommendations from the park board, and this overhead is terrible.
Yeah.
But what I'm showing you is a picture of Polar Lakes Park. I'll just do the north half because we can see it a little bit better. And then the south half, the ball field section. So plans for 2 bathrooms in the park, southerly. The master plan had showed a future bathroom in this location right here with the red star. And then the master plan showed a future bathroom right here, basically behind both picnic shelters. Park board reviewed these locations and recommended this location as originally planned. We were considering this one too, but it was recently recommended that the restroom should go here. And then we relocated the plans for the restroom to the north side of the playground right here. Shelter, playground, parking lot, restroom right here. Reason for that, proximity to the playground, proximity to sewer, which is right here, saving us a long run, and water is either way just fine. So those are the 2 recommended locations. That was the first recommendation by the park board. Then secondly, we were looking at designs. Originally considered hiring an architect to design the bathrooms. There are some public restroom companies out there that do design, build, do prefab, do modular. So we worked with a couple of companies, came up with a design that we'd like to see something like this. Southerly bathroom would be a 6-unit, 6-stall restroom. The northerly one by the soccer fields would be a 10-stall or unit restroom. They would each have 2 family rooms, a men's room and a women's room. Would reflect the design of the existing picnic shelters, and relatively, well, 24 by 30 approximate size for the larger of the 2 bathrooms. Pretty simple layouts here. Inside, you can see the 2 family rooms, men's room, women's room, and this is the larger of the 2 restrooms here. So working with a couple of companies, Romtech provides modular units. Basically, they package all up, truck it out. We hire a contractor through a bid process. They put it all together. The other option was the, let's see, what was it? Public restroom company specializing in just restrooms, similar to Romtech. That's a full unit. It comes in on a trailer, and they plop it down by crane. Price is substantially different, but be about the same in the end, depending on which way a bidder goes with that. So we're setting up the bid, and this is a public bid process, to either select the public restroom company unit, and they will give us a bid, or the Romtech unit, which we expect contractors to look at, pick that design and get the modular unit. Or a third option is to just, this is the design we're looking for, custom build it for us. So that's what we're requesting as far as the bids. We give them a package. This is the unit we're looking for. This is the design we're looking for. How much? So it's a little complicated that way, a couple different options. But basically, if the contractor selects the Romtech unit, the town would purchase it because we recognize a government savings to do that, and we would contract them to do all the construction work. We'd still have to do a little bit on our end. It doesn't include tree removal. Grading the site would be part of the contract. Unless Romtech or unless Public Restroom Company gets the bid, then we would do that removal and basically have the site ready for them. And then the town would also, in addition to the cost, extend the sewer and water to the exit points, or to the water line or to the sewer line. The building plans have them stub those out for like about 6 to 10 feet out from the building, and we take it from there. So that's a long-winded request or explanation of what we're looking at here, but it's basically 2 restrooms at Polo Lakes Park to be constructed yet this fall and completed before next spring, if everything goes well.
Steve?
And just, they're not going to be winterized. I mean, you can't use them in the winter, correct?
They will be
seasonal.
closed. Yep.
So they're not year-round.
Not heated or
In
insulated.
case that was.
Kind of like the restroom in Township Hall.
Or the portables that are there now.
Just in case you were wondering, they're not going to be.
Scott, you got anything?
I do. The park board did entertain information from the people that use the ball diamonds, and they also had thought that that was the location that would best serve their needs also.
Yeah, we did debate the 2 locations quite a bit. The original park board recommendation was the site to the east, a little bit further between fields 1 and 2. But staff and some of the associations, or one of the associations, weighed in and said, we kind of like the way it was master planned originally and think this is the best spot. I think there's a little bit of cost savings for that too. So that's the baseball field restroom.
You had mentioned that sewer would need to be run to the north building, and there would be some savings because it wouldn't go all the way to the concession stand. How about the south building? Would sewer have to be run down there as well?
Sewer is already there.
Oh, it is?
It's serving the shelter right now. The Forest Lake Interceptor actually runs right through the ball fields there and the park.
Oh.
So it's fairly
Wow.
easy to tap into the line that's already being tapped into that.
Okay, so we don't have to run it all the way down there then? Okay,
Correct,
never mind.
yeah.
That was my question.
Well, I talked to Tom today, because it just seemed like the larger of the 2, that's a lot of restroom. So I was asking how many satellites do we put out there I mean, that's a big restroom. I mean, are we overbuilding it, or do you really think we need it that size?
I don't think you are. I saw it there tonight, or the activity that was there tonight. Place is packed.
Yeah, and when the soccer association has a special event, they bring in more portables too, so.
Might get used a lot during hockey
There was
day.
That's 2.
It's not in the
That's
winter.
winter.
That's right, they closed it, never mind.
We'll put a little bonfire in there, one of those little
I
pits that they
forgot.
That's right, well, that's right.
You know, there was a lot, once early on in the discussion was about unisex bathroom, and it really doesn't save a whole lot to have unisex. So in other words, no male, female, just unisex, but that's problematic. But I tell you, that park where the children play up there all summer long is very active. And in fact, they sometimes wait in line for those porta potty, so I think they'll get used.
Well, Tom, a little bit of confusion is going to fall on you, because if a builder comes in and says, I want to custom build it, what plan is he supposed to be looking at? The Romtech or the restroom guys? Because they're 2 different plans.
Yeah, but they're pretty close. The basic, same units, all the details are the same as far as the utilities, the toilets, the sinks, the stainless mirrors.
The dimensions the same, though?
Dimensions are approximate. but it's based, the bid package gives an approximate size of the restrooms, but it shows the two different options.
Because it's going to be a little confusing when you start looking at the bids on apples to apples, because this is, we're throwing a bunch of options out there, and it might get a little gray there.
Yeah, that makes me a little nervous as a planner and not an architect or a construction management guy, but, I mean, you receive them, you look at them, if you don't like them, you throw them all out. It's a simple answer, it's probably too simple. But.
I like simple, Tom.
'Cause I personally think a local builder could do this cheaper than somebody who's gonna bring a whole unit in, but I don't know. It all depends on, like I said, if they're bringing the whole unit in, you still have to have the slab, you still have to have a contractor have all the plumbing in the slab, ready to set it down.
Mhm.
So there's, this might be a little, a head scratcher when you get the bids.
I've scratched my head before.
I was going to say.
Well, what you're really asking a custom builder to do then, Tom, is you're actually asking to build either version A or provide bids for version A, provide bids for version B. Because, yeah, if you tell them bid, come up with your own, you're gonna have bids you can't even compare.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to tell them if someone wants to do a custom job, they're gonna tell them, you better bid both plans.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And just identify which plan is which.
Unless the board wants to
Yeah,
throw out
except
one.
I think it's basically just B, the ROMTech option, because that's a modular type. The public playground, they will provide the bid to put their unit in, so I don't foresee anybody else bidding on that one.
On that plan.
Right.
Then you better tell whoever's gonna do a custom job, they're gonna bid Plan B, or Plan
Okay.
A, whatever you wanna call it.
So we should add that to the ad for bids.
Oh, you have to.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to open these bids, and it's going to be really confusing. And then you're going to have some contractors really mad, because they think they're the low bidder, but
And
you're
then-
not bidding apples to apples.
And then you open the township up to suits from unhappy contractors.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one
Okay.
for custom bids.
But that's a detail you can handle, so we can still move on with this, right? We move forward.
I believe so.
All right, any other questions to Tom before we?
I hate to, I don't really wanna belabor this thing, because I really wanna get I'm not feeling all that hot at the moment. But, Tom, what's the big difference between the two plans here? I mean, are there really significant differences in terms of costs?
Yes. One is packaged all up and set on site.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Sure.
Sorry, Your Honor, that was a bad question. In terms of a custom, how do you compare the two? And, how are you going to compare the bids? From the standpoint, are they similar in size? I mean, they seem to
Similar.
be the same number of stalls and everything, and the
Yes.
plumbing seems to be the same. What about size? Are they different size?
They're similar in size.
What's that mean?
I'll give you detail.
So at the end of the day, how are you going to make a recommendation to the board as to which option to choose?
Well, I'm going to look at the bids first.
Well, yeah, but no, the problem is the bidders have to be able to bid this, have to know what they're bidding.
Understand. So for
Sorry,
instance.
Tom, I'm not,
No,
yelling
this,
at you.
I mean, again, I'm not an architect.
I'm not here to pay an assessment.
I am
so-
winging this thing and trying to be as thorough as possible. So all these comments are great and additions.
Well, the biggest problem is these aren't dimensionals. A 28-foot 4-inch by 26-foot 8-inch, nobody builds that. You build 32 by 24. You don't build by 8, because it's a module, they build it that way, but not when you're building from scratch. You're not building that way. Not normally, anyway. So that's what we're getting at, if you have a universal dimension.
Okay. Yeah, I worded it as.
Larry, have you ever run across a situation where you have modular versus custom bids, custom construction bids?
Not in my area, no.
Yeah. No such thing as modular sewers, are there?
Well, Tom, you do kind of do it, though, the approximate size of the building, 20 by
That's why I
24
had
and a
it, so, you
24
know-
by 32.
Yeah, the public restroom company, larger restroom proposal comes in a size of 24 by 32. 7 is the, okay, yeah, 32.
Which is the standard size for a building?
Right, so if a custom builder is going to say, that's the dimensions I'm working on. The prefab, they're close, but when they build to their prefab, they don't always go with a 2-foot increment, so.
Yeah, because the modular unit, larger one is 26.8 by 30 foot, 8 inches.
So you're within a foot.
They're pretty close.
How they want to look at it.
Yeah. The layout's the same, the specs, again, for all the interior units should be the same. So we tried to match them up that way.
But I mean, everything's cost per square foot, so that they're going to want to be as close as they can to that bidding against that modular.
So it sounds to me they should be, in terms of a custom, if someone wants to build a custom, do a custom bid, you should be using what the
dimensions Tom's got spec'd here.
The 32 by whatever?
Yep.
Is that
Okay.
is that the public or the Romtech? Which one are you on? The public or Romtech? Which one is the prefab? The Romtech? Taking it back.
Public restroom is the modular,
Okay, public
I'm sorry, is the prefab set on site.
I was just working on Tom's spec sheet,
Oh, okay.
because that's what a custom builder is going to look at. This is the specs I got to stay with. So that might avoid some confusion. As long as they know they may be bidding against, of course, I don't know, can they find out what those things cost?
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of a tip of the hand on a bidding process?
Well, I think you have to inform the bidder.
Yeah,
that
because
you
you're
are
bidding
considering
against them.
bids for modular units.
Right.
So they know what, yeah, and I mean, you can't hide it from them. You got to tell them what's,
Well, and that might work to our advantage.
Mm-hmm. And if they do bid the Romtech options, we let them know that we will be purchasing the unit, and that needs to be reflected in their bids.
Yep.
Now, we can either tell them what we're paying for it or not. I mean, it's a
No, but-
$50,000 savings.
But then you have to tell them, if you're going to buy the modular unit, you have to tell them exactly what work has to be done that's, what work they would have to do.
Right.
So you're going to have at least 2 sets of specifications for them. Non-modular versus modular,
Has Mike helped you on this at all?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about it, but that's another discussion we want to have as far as construction management when these things are built is
Well, he might be able to help you when you put this out for bids to get the wording down right, what you're trying to accomplish here. Because this is not exactly an ordinary out for bid.
I mean, at least if you inform them that there's a possibility maybe modular units, then under a separate bid alternative bid would be simply for the improvements required to place the modular unit, you'd be playing fair with them. But the problem here is you got to play fair with your bidders.
All right, any other questions, comments? You're just going to have to fine tune it. Good luck with that.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right, then I need a motion first on to adopt the plan location.
Well, based on the park board and staff review and recommendation, I'll make a motion to adopt the plan locations as outlined.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Then the second one is authorized advertisement.
Based on the park board and staff review and recommendation, authorize advertisement for bids.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Last item on the agenda is consent agenda 5G
Thanks, Tom.
for the special 3-dog license. Is that just a matter of you guys want to reword that to coincide with rabies expiration?
Take that. I recommend that we approve the special 3-dog license at 1651 Garden Lane based on the staff review and recommendations, with the note that the rabies that expire, the rabies tag that expires on September 23rd be renewed prior to its expiration to continue this till March 31st of 2024.
Got it.
I will second that amended motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all opposed? That motion carries. All right. Item 11, need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Do we have open time again?
Oh, God, I hope.
You a masochist.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned at 8:59.
Thank you, gentlemen.